Chapter 1. This is your world. You wake up. The palace is cold. Outside, soldiers stand in rows they never leave. You have never stood in a line. You have never waited for a bus, bought food with money, or walked into a room without every person in it immediately adjusting their posture, their eyes, their breathing to the fact that you are here. This is not something you asked for. It is simply the air of your life, and you have breathed it so long you no longer notice when others can't. Your bedroom is larger than most North Korean families' entire homes. You know this. You have known it since you were old enough to understand what the gap between your life and theirs means, and young enough that the knowledge still lands like something sharp. Your mornings begin with a briefing, not of schedules, but of status. Which general said what the foreigners are saying about your family on television, whether the factories met their numbers. You are a child, but you are not treated like one, because in your family, childhood is a performance put on for cameras and then quietly set aside when the cameras leave. You have attended missile test launches in person. You sat beside your father. You wore a white coat. Cameras captured your face, calm, unafraid. The world saw the photo and asked, what kind of child is this? The answer, the only kind this world could have produced. The palace smells of orchids and cigarette smoke and something underneath both, something older, like stone kept too long in the dark. You know every hallway. You know which doors are never opened and which rooms fall silent the moment you approach. You know that silence in your home is not peace. Silence is what power sounds like when it is resting. You have been to Switzerland in your memories, stories your father told at dinner, his voice going briefly soft. You have never left this country. The world comes to you, or it doesn't come at all. Outside your window, Pyongyang is lit in straight lines, every light placed by design, every street swept by schedule. It is the most controlled city on earth, and it is your city. And sometimes, late at night, when the guards change shift and the palace goes briefly quiet, you press your forehead to the glass and wonder what it is like to be one of the small lights far below, to be ordinary, to be invisible, to be free in the particular way that people are free when no one is watching. But you are always watched, and slowly, over years, you have learned to use that, to perform the calm, to hold the stillness, until the performance became so practiced it became real. You became the most composed person in any room. It was the only form of control available to you, so you mastered it completely. Chapter 2. Your Father, the Button. He is the most powerful man in a sealed country. He is also the man who braids your hair. Your father is two people, and you are the only one on earth who knows both of them. The world knows the first one, the one in military uniform, the one whose face appears on every wall of every building in this country, the one whose voice can end a general's career with a single exhale, the one who controls 40 warheads and the launch codes to fire them, who has stood at the edge of a test site and watched the sky crack open and smiled. But you know the second one. The one who laughs too loud at bad jokes. The one who keeps Western films on a private server and watches them on quiet nights. The one who, when you were small and had bad dreams, would sit at the edge of your bed until you fell back asleep. The supreme leader of North Korea, keeping watch over a child's nightmare. This is the impossible mathematics of your life. The man who can destroy cities is also the man who taught you to ride a bicycle. You hold both truths simultaneously, every day, because you have no choice. And the holding of both, the refusal to let one cancel out the other, is the most exhausting and most important thing you do. He has ordered executions. He has also launched satellites. He has met foreign leaders and then vanished for months. He is unpredictable, theatrical, calculating. What no analyst can calculate is what he becomes when you walk into the room. You found out about the button, the real one, not the metaphor, when you were 11. You overheard it through a door. The general's voice was flat, reciting numbers. 47 minutes to Washington, 11 to Seoul, 9 to Tokyo. You stood in the corridor and counted your own heartbeats because it seemed important to know that your heart was still beating. You walked in. You interrupted a military briefing that no child had any business interrupting. You said, "Appa, come eat dinner." He laughed. He stood up. The generals did not move for a full 10 seconds. You did not understand at 11 what you had done. You understand it now. You had reminded him, in front of his generals, in the middle of a briefing about ending millions of lives, that he was a person, that someone in the world still called him Appa, that dinner was waiting, that small, ordinary things were still happening somewhere, even in this place, even for him. The world does not know this. The satellites cannot photograph it. The analysts in their dark offices, staring at their data, have found the pattern in the numbers. Fewer launches when you appear in public, diplomatic channels thawing after family events, but they cannot explain it. They call it a variable. They mark it unresolved. You are the variable. You are what stands between the man with the codes and the decision to use them, not through argument, not through politics, but through the oldest mechanism in the world. You love him, and he knows it, and that knowledge makes him, just barely, just enough, hesitate. Chapter 3. Your Power, Your Weight. No one elected you, no one briefed you, and yet, here you are. Nobody gave you this power. There was no ceremony, no transfer of authority, no document you signed. It accumulated around you the way snow accumulates, slowly, silently, until one morning you look out and the whole landscape has changed, and you are standing in the middle of something enormous that you did not build but are now responsible for. Here is what your power looks like, from the inside. It looks like dinner. It looks like touching your father's wrist when his voice starts to go cold. It looks like asking him about Switzerland when the generals are pushing him toward a decision. It looks like being the one person in his entire world who speaks to him without fear, without agenda, without performance. Just you. Just his kid. And here is what your power looks like from the outside. In Washington, an analyst named Dr. Choi has spent 3 years correlating your public appearances with incident data and found that when you are visible, the world is measurably safer. She has a graph. She cannot publish it. She cannot explain it in terms that her superiors will accept, but the graph is real and the pattern holds, and somewhere in a locked drawer is a memo she wrote at 3 in the morning that says, "She is the variable no one can account for." You have no ordinary friends. Every relationship is freighted with what you are. You cannot leave. You cannot choose. You cannot fail publicly. You carry the weight of a regime you did not build and cannot dismantle. And every day, in small ways, you make it a little less catastrophic. Whether that is enough is a question you live with, not one you can answer. You have thought, on the long nights, about what your life would be in another world. A university somewhere, a city where no one knows your name, a coffee shop. You have seen them in films, these places where people sit alone in noise and no one watches them, where you could sit and read and be nobody. The dream is so small it almost hurts. That's how you know it's real. But this is not that world. This is the world where your father's finger rests near a button, and the button is real, and the 9 minutes to Tokyo are real, and the 47 to Washington are real, and none of that changes. You did not cause it. You cannot stop it with love alone. You are not a solution. You are not a savior. You are just a person, a daughter, inside an impossible situation, doing the only thing available to you, staying, being present, pouring tea, walking into rooms uninvited, saying, "Appa, come eat dinner," over and over, as many times as it takes, for as long as it works. Outside, Pyongyang glitters in its designed light. The missiles are in their silos. The generals are in their quarters. The world spins on its axis, not knowing how close it sometimes comes, not knowing what stops it, not knowing your name or your face or the way you touch your father's wrist when the room gets cold. They don't know you. But tonight, for just a moment, you know what it feels like to be you. Peace is not kept in summits or silos. It is kept alive in small rooms by ordinary love.